Listen to me. We are going to talk about the differences between a pusher and a closer in F&I. There's a very big difference. There's a huge, distinct difference between people who don't know how to close and people who do know how to close. People who don't know how to close push. They're in the finance office. They get to the point where they ask the customer to buy, and the customer tells them no, and they don't know where to go. They don't have a strategy in place. They're not taking steps in the close. The customer tells them no, and they have no idea what to do next. So they begin to push. Listen to me. If you are going to become a bona fide closer in F&I, listen, by the time you get to the closing piece, by the time it's time to close a customer, by the time it's time to ask for the money, this should be the easy part. But because an F&I manager has been trained wrong, they've been trained on a bad system, they've been trained on a menu, they've been trained on a menu, so they have not been trained to build value in their product. They have been trained to use a menu to describe the product. And in using a menu, blocks that are in a column, when they use a menu to describe a product, when they ask thousands of dollars after merely describing that product, when they ask thousands of dollars for it, and the customer tells them no, they don't know what to do next. Why? Because they have no value to close. The first thing about being a closer is you have to have value to close. So listen to me. Pushers, let me tell you what a pusher does. A pusher uses phrases. A pusher uses phrases like, is it the price or is it the value? Once the customer tells them no, the pusher uses phrases like, is it the price or is it the value? Well, what do you think it is? It's always the value. It's never the price. Customers always buy what they see value in. Heck, you buy what you see value in. But that's the mind of a pusher. That's all they've been trained to do. They've been trained to talk about columns and describe products. Then they've been trained to tell customers what they forfeit. It's a very negative presentation to a customer. They describe the thousands of dollars, right? They describe the product here. Then they tell the customer what they forfeit, and then are surprised when the customer tells them no, and then they come back with, well, is it the price or is it the value? Of course it's the value. You've said nothing thus far that has built value in your product. If you are going to ask $3,000 for a service contract, understand you must build $10,000 worth of value in it. You must build $20,000 worth of value in it. A customer will only exchange their money, which they see value in, for something they get 10 times more value back. And if you are not building value in your product, then when they tell you no, a pusher's immediate response is, well, is it the price or is it the value? Listen to me. You got to get rid of that phrase. Or a pusher will say, if I could, would you? This is so old school. If I could, well, if I could, would you? Well, if I could, would you? Well, why didn't you? If I could, would you? If I could, would you? Why didn't you? Right? Why didn't you? See, this is when a pusher does not know where to go in the close. A closer knows that it's always value. When you are closing, you understand that it's always value. Always value. So you focus on the value. As a matter of fact, before you get into the presentation, you are under the understanding that the customer will only say yes once you have built massive value in it. So your approach to presentations are building massive value in your product and then asking a customer to buy. And then when a customer tells you no, you don't say, hey, is it the price or is it the value? You know that it's the value. Also, a closer understands that a customer is indoctrinated to tell them no. Some of you don't even know what indoctrinated means, but what indoctrinated means is if the seed has been planted and grown in a customer and a person for a long time, Long before they ever met you. For a long time, a customer has been told, don't you ever buy the extended, they call it extended warranty. Don't you ever buy the extended warranty. Don't you ever go to a dealership and buy that extended stuff. A customer, you, as a matter of fact, you have been indoctrinated not to do it. Some of you buy vehicles and don't even buy coverage on your own vehicles. And that's the truth. You have been indoctrinated since you were a child. Your parents, they taught you 3 things when you were growing up. They taught you, listen, when you walk out of a room, to make sure that you cut off the lights. Why? Because there's people in other countries that don't have electricity. You were taught, listen, when you have a plate of food, make sure you eat all that food up off your plate. Why? Because there's people in other countries that are starving. And listen, when you become grown, never buy the extended warranty. That's what customers have been indoctrinated to do. They have been indoctrinated to tell you no. A closer understands this about customers. A closer understands that long before a customer ever walks in his or her office, they have been taught to tell that finance manager no. So a closer's approach to presenting product, so that they know on the other side of that presentation, they can get a yes. A closer's approach is, I'm going to build massive, massive, massive value in my product. Why? Because I know that the customer's going to tell me no. I know that I have to approach it with value because the customer is going to tell me no. And if I have a fighting chance of closing this customer and generating revenue, they must have seen the value first. A closer and a pusher approach the presentations of products differently. Listen to me. Number 2, a pusher uses traps. They use traps, okay? They go out there and they do customer interviews, and then when they're back in the finance office and the customer tells them, no, I don't want your extended coverage. Nope, I'm not going to drive that many miles. Nope, I'm not going to keep the car that long. A pusher uses phrases like, well, you told me. Well, you told me you drive 15,000 miles a year. Well, you told me you drive 18,000 miles. See, they want to make a customer wrong. They need to trap a customer. The customer was interrogated up front. A customer was interviewed up front, and so now they can use that interview against them. See, that's called trapping. You look to trap a customer. You don't like to feel trapped. A customer does not like to feel trapped. A customer feels small when they feel trapped, right? They know what miles they drive. They know they're going to drive a lot more miles than what they're telling you. But what they're saying to you, in other words, when they're telling you, no, I'm not going to drive that many miles. No, I'm not going to keep the vehicle that long. What they're telling you is I don't see the value in the product that you're trying to sell me for the price you're trying to sell it to me for. That's what they're telling you. You don't need a trap. You don't need to trap them. Well, you told me you drive 18,000 miles a year. Well, guess what? After I've seen the value in your product, I'm not going to drive nothing. I don't need your product because I'm not going to drive nothing. In other words, the customer's telling you, listen, I don't see the value. I don't see the value for the price you're asking me for. You need to build more value to me so that I can say yes. If you're asking me $5,000 for this service contract, I need to see $50,000 in value. The ball, F&I managers, is in your court. You don't need to trap a customer. You need to build more value in your product. Listen to me. A closer, when a pusher is saying, hey, you told me, a closer understands that closing is a strategy. A closing is a strategy. It's not a trap. It's not you told me. It's a strategy. The entire F&I process is a strategy. 30 minutes after you get a customer in your office, they should be saying yes. They should be signing the contracts. They should be signing the coverage. Why? Because you use strategy. You're not using traps. You're not trying to make a customer feel small or feel bad for telling you no. You're not trying to push a customer into a corner where they have to try to deceive you in order to get out of your invaluable presentation, the presentation they see no value in. You don't need to trap a customer. You need to use strategy. And strategy is, listen to me, whenever you're going into an F&I presentation, do yourself a favor. Present value. Be concerned with a customer's value, the value they see in your products. Not describing your product, but make sure your customers see value in it. And then once you've made sure they see value in it, then when they tell you no, know what you're going to do next. Know what the next piece of the strategy is. Have enough closes so that you're able to stay in the close. Woo! Come on, man. That brings me to number 3, a pusher. A pusher repeats themselves over and over again. They repeat themselves and they beat up on a customer. They repeat themselves because they don't have closes, because they only have 1 or 2, and 2 in the possible, maybe 3 closes. You know, finance managers who are watching this, you know how many closes you have down packed up here. You know whether right now, if you could give a close and then a customer give a different objection or concern, and then you give a different close, and then a customer give another objection and you give a different close, and then a customer give another objection and you give a different close, and then a customer give another objection and you give a different close, and the customer, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so. You know whether you have the ability to do that. Most finance managers that I meet do not. So therefore, what do? A mediocre or average finance manager does not have enough closes to outlast a customer's objections. So therefore, they end up repeating themselves. And when they end up repeating themselves, they get nowhere. So therefore, the customer feels like they're being beat up on. The customer feels like now that they're being beat up on, they're being trapped in the corner, they're being made to feel small because they are telling you no, because they are trying to get out of your office. They are trying to get out of that situation that they feel small in. Listen to me. You do not want to repeat yourself. An above average finance manager, a good finance manager, learns closes. They have enough closes, all right? They have enough closes to outlast the customer's objections. They know that a customer is going to walk in their office and object. It's what customers do. Every customer, you know. Here's the wild thing. As long as many finance managers who talk about how long they've been in the business. I've been in the business 10 years. I've been in the business 20 years. I've been in the business 30 years. I've been in the business 800 years. As all this I've been in the business. And that same average finance manager who's been there 10, 15, 20 years wouldn't be able to stay in and outlast the customer's objections, man. It's crazy. Let's talk about number 4. Let's go to number 4. A pusher argues and debates with the customer, right? They go back and forth. They volley that ball back and forth over the net, right? There's a back and forth that they have with the customer in which a finance manager, a pusher with their pride has to win. Right? They have to win the argument. They have to win the debate. They have to make themselves right. Even if they don't get the right outcome, a pusher has to make themselves right. You told me, right? You got to make yourself right. You repeat yourself over and over again, and then you debate and you argue and you get upset when the customer is adamant about not buying your product. Why? Because you're not hearing the customer. You're not understanding what the customer is telling you. And listen, the boss in this situation is the customer. Why? Because the customer is the one that pays. It is your job to build value in your product or service so that you can exchange your product or your service for money from the customer, so that the customer sees it is your job to build enough value in your product so that the customer sees 10 times, 100 times more value in your product than they do their money. But instead of going that route, you will argue. You will debate a customer. You will make a customer wrong. That's what a pusher does. And then you hear them tell people, well, I don't want to push the customer. I stopped because I didn't want to push them. They only gave you 3 objections. I stopped because I didn't want to push them. They only gave you 5 objections. I stopped because I didn't want to push them. It's too bad that you feel like you're a pusher. If you feel like you push customers, then level up while you have the opportunity to do so. Listen, a closer understands that the first rule of closing is always agree first. Listen to me. You do not want to debate or argue with the customer. You want to agree. You want to get on the same side as the customer. You want the customer to feel like you're looking at it from the same perspective that they are. That you care about how they view this product. That you care about what they see. You care about what their perspective is. You care about what their concerns are. Always agree first. Only when you agree will the customer drop their guard. Does a customer drop their defenses a little bit? Does a customer stop fighting you some? And then they give you the opportunity to speak so they can hear you. A closer knows that the first rule of closing is always agree first. The best close that you can do, the best outcome you can have in your F&I office during your delivery is for the customer to take delivery of your product, of the vehicle and your product, and to be ecstatic about it, and to be happy about it, and to feel like they've won. That is the best outcome that they could possibly have back in your office. Listen, finance managers from 1985, finance managers from 1995, finance managers from 1999. Listen to me. It's time to level up. It's time to modernize yourself. Why? Because the new age finance managers are coming, and they are here, and they are leveling up, and they are sharpening their axe. They are not scared. Listen to me. Number five. A pusher delivers a bad experience back in finance. I need for you guys to think about something. Let me stop here. Every finance manager, listen up to me, okay? A customer walks back in your office, okay? They've got their guard way up here. Okay, they don't trust you. You have no credibility with them. They perceive you to be the bad person. They've researched on YouTube and they've gotten a whole lot of negative responses and feedback and videos on YouTube and Google. And every family member and every friend that's ever taken a delivery gives them bad feedback on what the finance manager does back in that finance office. Listen, I want you to think about something. You have to pay. In your finance office, you're a good person. You try hard, you have integrity, but you're going to have to pay for the bad perception, the bad reputation that F&I managers have, the bad YouTube videos, and the bad past experience that somebody, the last time that customer was delivered a vehicle, that last finance manager was a pusher. They were not a closer. That last finance manager gave that customer a bad experience. Now that customer has a bad taste in their mouth. And guess who has to pay for that? And if you do anything that resembles the last time that customer purchased a vehicle, well, then the customer again is going to have another bad experience. You're going to leave another bad taste in that customer's mouth. I need for you to understand that as a closer delivers so much value back in finance because that's all they're concerned with. A closer is only concerned with the value a customer sees. So a customer delivers so much value back in their F&I department that once a customer takes delivery, once a customer says yes, once a customer purchases that product, they are ecstatic. They walk out of that finance manager's office with a grin across their face, bragging about the products they just got back in your office. Yeah. You ever had a customer walk out of your office and brag? Yeah. Did I cover myself? Man, listen, I got the 120,000 miles worth of coverage. I got gap coverage too. So if somebody runs into me and totals my car, I'm good. And I got that tire and wheel. That road hazard coverage, yeah. So if I get a nail in my tire, I'm good. I don't care if the construction's out there, because if I get a flat tire driving over a pothole or a nail or a piece of glass, I'm good. Right? That is when a customer is ecstatic because you've built value in your product, and they feel like the value that you delivered to them far exceeds the money that they paid you for it. That's what a closer does. A closer is focused on the value. A closer is focused on turning around the customer's bad perception about the finance office and finance managers. A closer is concerned about delivering the best possible experience for that customer. A closer is worried about and concerned with rolling out the best red carpet they possibly can back in finance. See, if you are a pusher, customers have been dealing with pushers for 20 years before they ever got to your office. A customer has been dealing with this garbage over and over and over again. Listen to me. I spun my very first deal in 2001. That's 21 years ago. Okay? And let me tell you something about the customer interview. And the menu that so many of you love. That it was already 10 years old at that time. By the time you get a customer in your office, if you are pulling out a menu, then you are using a process that a customer has seen for the last 8 times they bought a vehicle. It's 30 something years old. It's time to level up. It's time to give customers what they deserve, and that is the red carpet treatment. It is time to level up, deliver value to your customers. Stop pushing them. Stop beating up on them because you can't deliver value. Stop repeating yourself. Start leveling up and delivering massive value. Start addressing customers' concern. Start understanding that closing is a strategy. Meaning, when a customer walks in your office ready with an arsenal of objections, a whole arsenal ready, they got them. It got nothing to do with you. The bad past experience that they went through in their last delivery causes a customer to walk in your office with a whole bag, a whole arsenal full of objections. It's got nothing to do with you. Sometimes a customer starts throwing all these objections at you way before you even get started. Like they sit down with you and then, hey, listen, I don't want none of that stuff. You can put that piece of paper up. I'm not buying nothing. I don't want to spend nothing extra. Listen, they just start throwing it at you before you ever had the opportunity to deliver one line of value, one point of value, to say anything about the value of your product. Sometimes they come with an avalanche of objections up front. You, finance manager, you got to understand, it ain't about you. It's about the last person, the other one, the last time they took delivery. You have to have that kind of empathy. You got to have that kind of understanding about customers. But you don't. You don't take the time to understand customers. You feel like it's an attack on you when they tell you no. It ain't an attack on you. It's an attack on the value that you're not delivering to them. It's an attack on, they don't like the old humdrum finance process. They don't like the old humdrum finance presentations. They didn't appreciate being interrogated. They didn't appreciate being interviewed out there. Come on, man. It's time to level up. The customer is the most valuable thing outside of a salesperson in a car dealership. They are the reason that the lights stay on. They are the reason why you have a livelihood. You are obligated to sharpen your axe and level up so that customers can have the best experiences. If you aren't, if you say, hey, I'm not going to do it. If you're stubborn to the point, or if you have egos that will not allow you to level up, then you got to move out the way. You got to go somewhere else. Go up to the desk. Go find you a buy here, pay here somewhere to run. Go do something else and open up that opportunity for the new blood in there. Somebody who's modern, somebody who's sharpening their axe, somebody who's ready to carry this F&I torch for the next 20 years, making customers happy and generate revenue for their store and generate a livelihood for themselves and take care of their families. Make way for that person. The big old, the days of deceiving customers, not being transparent with customers, not rolling out the red carpet for customers, pushing on the customer, beating up on the customer, making them feel small. You told me, trapping customers. Listen, those days are over, champion. Pushers have crazy chargebacks, don't they? Don't they? And then they wonder why they get so many chargebacks. Why? Because when a pusher is beating up on a customer, making them feel small, and then the customer goes home, and the customer inks up, goes home, and says, man, I got charged this, I got charged that, I got charged this, I really didn't want to, so then they call and cancel, and then they get chargebacks, and then they're like, what? Chargebacks, massive chargebacks are the hallmark, champion, of a pusher. Listen, I appreciate every one of you. Every one of you. My passion is finance. I've been running stores for over 20 years. I have been at the top of massive auto groups. I have been at the pinnacle, and now I run a training and consulting company, the #1 F&I training platform in the entire automotive industry. Business partners with Grant Cardone. My dealers get massive results, and they get year-over-year net income increases of millions of dollars. Why? Because the process is different, because the presentations are different, because the people are different, and so the production is different. It's all different. We don't do it the same over here. This is not why we are here. We are here to level up. We are here to do what our dealers gave us the opportunity to do. Listen, your dealer is not obligated. They're obligated to give you the opportunity. They're obligated to give you the resources. They are obligated to put a building or give you a nice office, a roof, and put customers in front of you. It is up to you to train. It is up to you to level up. It is up to you to get yourself to the pinnacle, to that point where it doesn't matter the kind of customer you get, when you get them, how they're paying, what type of vehicle. It doesn't matter if they're paying finance, cash, it does not matter. You have the skill set to generate the revenue that you're supposed to. Listen, it's skill set time. It's modernization time. It's time to level up. Dealer FIU right here. This is the new Dealer F&I University platform. I've shortened up the URL to make it easier. dealerfiu.com. Go there. Reach out to me. Start taking the training. And then jump in my masterclass, jump in my masterclass where I mentor, my mentorship class every week, where I sit and I mentor and I coach and I do one-on-one training to help the people who are on this platform level up. Listen, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's time now. It's time now while you still have the opportunity. It's time now while the window is open. Listen, tough times don't last, tough people do. There's no situation or no circumstance that will outlast you that is too hard as long as you get the skill set. Listen to me. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming here. We talked about the 5 differences between somebody who's a pusher and somebody who is a closer. I hope, for all my finance people, I hope that you are working toward becoming a closer if you are in fact a pusher.